Hi, Megan. So I was reading through your writing here, and I think you're ahead of the game here by going into this kind of detail. And the reason I say that is because let me jump over here just to show my example. So these are really outstanding examples of the finished product, right? Of this linear narrative, telling a story of the hand tool and using the hand tool in a manner that's not expected or something different than what it's intended for. So it's a really super interesting project, right? But I think to a very high degree, the success of this project lies in the setup. Of course, illustration is of critical importance in illustrative technique, right? That's why we're here. But this particular assignment really does a good job asking students to really think this through and develop an interesting narrative quality. So if you take a look at some of the qualities of good narrative, we see, a problem setup, um, introduction to the solution, implementation of the solution, and then the final outcome. So what we have here is up to a very high degree, we've got a successful setup. So, and the reason I bring this up is because I want you to think about this setup in your sketches. And again, I just want to reiterate, you're ahead of the game a little bit because in your sketches, you've already started to kind of look at the linear narrative and how are you going to tell the story, deciphering how you're going to tell the story. So you've got an introduction to the problem. That's fantastic. And then you're starting to look at solutions, possible solutions, and then implementation of the solution, and then the happy ending, right? So, and you've done that, I think, in a lot of your sketches. I think at the very end of your presentation, your sketch presentation here, we've got one little area that I just want to mention. It starts here, and so it's 6, 7, and 8 don't have any human interaction. And I've seen enough of these to know that if you include human interaction, or I've also seen students do animals. For example, one student did a little rabbit that stole what was it, a small towel off a deck and took it back and used it to sleep in. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you have a character, it's going to enhance the narrative quality. So these are not going to be compelling as these, simply because you've got a character here for which the viewer can identify whether that character is animal or human. It doesn't matter. It's still a really deep way to identify with the narrative and the illustrations used to create that narrative. So that's it. I looked at this when I was like, God, if I ever saw my kid do, do that. And likewise, if I did that when I was a kid, my mom would have wrung my neck, right? Because dentists are so expensive. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. Hairbrush is a back scratcher. We've all done it, definitely. Um, this isn't interesting, but I would think that the end of an earring is really, really small, right? So trying to fit that in a knot is going to be a little problematic. Great idea, though. Leaf blows, hair dryer. Love it. I love this one. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Um, Screwdriver as a toothpick. Kill a bug with a flip-flop. Been there. We've all done that. Well, I shouldn't say we've all done that. I'm the person who picks up bugs and takes them outside. My wife has just been laughing at me for years. I'll pick it up and take it outside and set it free, whereas she's finding that flip-flop to do the obvious right there, right? So that's a great one too, using toothpaste to get rid of bad smells. Interesting, interesting. Hair dryer for clothes dryer. I think this is a really good one too, and I love the setup here. So you've got some person pulling their clothes out of the dryer. They go plug in or turn on pull their clothes out of the washer, put them in the dryer, and you've got these kind of little sparks and the thing's wobbling around, maybe a little smoke coming out of it. So the person's like, what do I do now? And then looking around, thinking of ideas. Wait a second, the aha moment, looks and sees the hair dryer, then sets up the rest. But this one, I think, definitely needs human interaction, right? Like the other one. So I think that's a really strong one. And I think this is really strong too. The hair dryer. I think this could be a blast. And don't forget, I mean, this is kind of this project introduces a little levity, so it can be humorous and cute, and I think that's to a very high degree one of the the outcomes is this is being humorous and cute in that we are using objects in a manner that they're not intended for, right? So might as well add a little levity to the narrative. So at this point, excuse me, at this point, just go ahead, choose the direction you feel has the most potential, and really take this. You've already thought about narrative, right? But really think of how you can take these stories and tell them in a really compelling way. For example, and I use this example a lot because I think it's so strong. So, he's wanting to get some kisses and she's saying, not with that beard, right? So he's going to try to cut his beard. He's like, okay, examining the problem, right? And then he's like, okay, solution, try that. That didn't work. Another solution, the aha moment. And you see it right there. See him with his hand up, the light bulb, aha. So then he just comes through, he sets it up, implement, outcome. It's a fantastic job. I would recommend at least 10 to 12 frames in the narrative just for complete thought process. And also keep in mind moving forward, you want every frame, with the exception of the first frame, to have a relationship with the frame before it and the frame after it. A very, very clear relationship. Of course, the first frame doesn't have a relationship with the frame before it because it doesn't have a frame before it. And conversely, the last frame doesn't have a frame after it. But every frame has a very, very tight relationship with the frame before and after. So think about that, and just take a look at in this assignment, I ask students to take a look at as many video critiques as you can, because I think that a lot of the comments that are supplied to students are also going to be applicable to your work too. So might as well get a nice round cross-section of critique and comments and suggestions and recommendations for moving forward. Great job, Megan. Love it. So yes, as I said, go ahead and choose the direction you feel has the most potential. And if you have any questions at all, please let me know. Great job, Megan. Thank you.